What was it like getting the call to be in Jools Holland's band?
It was a very surreal experience, actually, I must admit.
I am joined on the UK Drum Show official podcast by Mr. Ed Richardson. Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Yeah, weather's lovely, so I can't complain.
It's
It's
good.
all good.
It's good. Firstly, we can't wait to see what you're going to be bringing to the table to Mike Dolbear's room at the UK Drum Show this year. But before we kind of get into any of that, I've got to ask, what was it like getting the call to be in Jools Holland's band?
It was a very surreal experience, actually, I must admit, because so I was working with another big band called the Calamau Big Band, which are great, and we were doing a gig at Pizza Express in Soho. And after the gig, we were in the pub just having a pint and whatever. And I got a notification on my phone came up, and it was a withheld number, and I was just like, "Oh, that's probably a scam or something."
Yeah.
But anyway, I answered the call, and everyone was really busy in this pub, and I couldn't really hear. And all I heard was like, "Ed, it's Jools Holland," and I was like, "Oh, hello, Jules. Everything all right? Everything okay?" And you said, "Look, Gilson's thinking of retiring, and we're looking at replacing you. And your uh, name's been put in the hat. So would you come and do some gigs with us?" And that was literally it. And I was just like, "Well, yes, of course I would do that." So yeah, it's great.
How did you get into that sort of that very tight inner circle? Because that doesn't just happen overnight, does it? You work towards getting your name out there and in amongst those kind of those greats, those legends, those icons. How did you get your name, even to a point where Jules Holland is considering you to be a drummer?
Well, for me, it was for the past. Well, I lived in London for sort of 13 years before COVID hit, and basically, as soon as I moved to London, I went to the Royal Academy of Music and studied jazz there. And a lot of my peers and a lot of my colleagues are all doing incredible stuff, playing with amazing bands, amazing artists, and doing sessions and stuff. And we all kind of came up together really. And so I started playing down at Ronnie Scott's when I was about 14.
Wow.
Offered to play there then, and Pete Long, who runs that band, he also was a member of Jules's band back in the day, like I think maybe like early 2000s or something. So I was kind of playing with these guys that were doing those kind of gigs already when,
Okay.
from the age of about 14, and I just basically kind of concentrated on making sure that I was, even though I was a lot younger than these guys, like still turning up with like the right amount of musical maturity and sort of, I suppose,
Yes.
personal maturity, and just make sure that everything's been taken care of really. And so it was mainly just gigging around town, and like the odd thing would come in. There was obviously a lot of restaurant work, just sitting in the corner playing brushes, like, because you
Yep.
have to do that kind of stuff to sort of earn a bit of money to survive in London. But then the odd gig, like fantastic gig, would come in. So I got the call to do Guy Barker's big band. We would do the proms and we do all that stuff. So for the past maybe 10 years, I've kind of been working with him, and that gets me in front of working with amazing artists. There was Paloma Faith or Curtis Stigers or lots of different artists like that, and word just gets round, or someone will be like, "Oh, I'll stick the proms on," and it was like, "Oh, I saw you on telly last night. It was
Yeah.
great," and it's just like being put into that arena. I think was and having that exposure was really helpful for me. But also,
That's
you have
amazing.
to turn up and do the job as well. So
That's amazing. And obviously those kind of early stages of your career where, I mean, early stages for a lot of people, as you say, it might be the smaller gigs. For yourself, you're 14 years old playing Ronnie Scott's, which is quite unusual.
yeah,
But at what point did you realize like this is becoming a thing? This is now gonna be my life.
I think probably that first gig at Ronnie's,
Right.
because it was very, very infectious of just sort of, yeah, it's like these guys do this all the time. It must be amazing. And it still is, and I still love going there. I was there last week playing with the big bands, so I'm still going and doing that stuff. So it's I still look forward to it every time. So it's just brilliant. Yeah, it's
Ronnie's
great.
is an amazing venue. I
Yeah.
share that love. Um, I suppose with your background, this might sound like a silly question, but drums for a lot of people are kind of considered a reflex instrument, and sight reading perhaps on the drums. from some players might not be as big a thing as perhaps it should be. Do you
Sure.
think from your experience that if you're going to be a drummer, you've got to focus on that sight reading as well? Or can you know, load up to a gig, hear the tracks by ear, and just play, I suppose, from your heart?
I didn't learn to read music until I got to college because I was doing big band stuff, even the stuff at Ronnie's. I'd be sort of ear rolling it and learning these charts kind of off by heart and playing it. So you still playing the right hits and ending at the right time, starting at the right time, stops, everything like that. But I was also doing it like sort of from the heart. But then I got to college and they were like, "What do you mean you can't read?" And it's like, well, yeah. So I kind of had to get that stuff together. But also, I think training my ear and learning and just absorbing all this kind of different music. I think that was really a really good start in learning how to play with great feel or learning how to play with, you know, in time and all these different things, because
Mm,
I feel that's much harder to learn and replicate than it is to learn how to read. Because if I can learn how to read, then anybody can, because I found it very hard at the start,
really?
but I've managed it now and it's fine. So it's yeah, that's something that I feel like you can learn, whereas the other stuff, the listening parts and all that stuff, I feel is, for me anyway, more important.
That's yes, I understand that. You've got this, like, even before I met you, I watched the last Hootenanny,
Mm.
where I saw you on stage and obviously realised either that Jools' previous drummer had either gone into a time machine or he'd been replaced. So, but from your perspective, that was obviously probably quite a mad moment to be involved within such a something that's become an institution within this
Yeah.
country's New Year's Eve.
Mm.
Was there anything particularly kind of Spinal Tap about that experience for you?
Um, well, it was surreal. I'd definitely say it was surreal, just because I'd grown up watching Gilson play on that show
Yes.
and on all the, you know, later and all those shows, and so it was very surreal for me to see my kit there where Gil's kit should have been, you know, and it was just
Yes.
sort of like, this is mad. How did this all happen? And it happened so quickly as well, because well, when I got that call from Jules, basically I was going on holiday the next day. With me and my partner were going away, and so they sent me all the stuff, and I had to learn it while I was away. I was like, hoping for a nice, relaxed sort of holiday, but it's like, no, I've got to learn all this stuff, because that there's no drum charts because Gil didn't read. So I got hold of
Oh,
trumpet parts for that. And so yeah, learning stuff for the Hootenanny and stuff while I was on holiday, and then as soon as I basically got off the plane, it's like bam, right, off on tour now. And it was yeah, it was just, it happened all so quickly, and then suddenly, you know, I was doing the first gig with Jules, and you know, had a first, and then so first gig with Jules, and then on day two he offered me the job, which was amazing. So but then yeah, arriving at Hootenanny and just being like seeing my kit, and there's the big clock, you know, the big famous clock, and
yes.
all the hubbub and everything running around. But yeah, there was nothing particularly Spinal Tap happened. I mean, I'm still here, so I didn't fall to that curse. But yeah, it was just a very surreal but amazing day. You know, yeah, it was brilliant.
That's incredible. So you get a phone call from Jools Holland in the middle of a very busy Pizza Express. The next day
Mm.
you go on holiday, you come back, and then you're gigging for. You must have spent that entire holiday that was probably supposed to be this really relaxing, like on a sunbed, whatever. And
Yeah,
actually, you've probably just like tapping away, learning tunes.
yeah,
Was that how it
headphones in.
was?
Yeah, just headphones in, like, and scribbling out charts. Like, I had to go to the
Yeah.
shop to buy myself some like pen and paper to write out some like forms and charts and stuff like that. But yeah, it was. I still had a nice time on holiday, you know. So you know, while my
Yeah.
partner was sunbathing, I was just like, right, okay, well, it could be
Yeah,
worse. Yeah,
7868.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
You've got this amazing energy. Are you going to be bringing this to the UK Drum Show when you're in Mike's room in October at the ACC Liverpool? Will you be bringing this charm, this charisma with you, or when it comes to drums, is it focus, focus, focus?
It's a bit of both, really. I think because you know, I think it's drums is such a broad subject, isn't it? You know, you could talk about anything, and I think what I'm going to do is I approach it like I approach any other gig, which is with always 100% and just with enthusiasm, and hopefully people will get something out of it as well, and rather than just, you know, watching me play some big band tunes. But I'm sure we'll have some good chats and some good questions, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Do you feel that there's more pressure on a gig that focuses solely on you as a player and as a musician rather than being in one of the biggest big bands on the planet?
So yes, because that room is full of drummers. Whereas the Jools gig is, there might be a couple there, but it's just like everyone's going to be sort of chin scratching. Yes, sort of, yeah, but I'm sure it'll be great fun. No, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
That's amazing. Um, if you're not going to get the opportunity to answer everybody's question, there's going to be a lot of eyes on you, and everyone's focus is going to be on you during your session at the UK Drum Show. Would you be able to give a piece of advice to an aspiring drummer who's maybe caught you on the telly, or is maybe learning of your stuff now, or is a long time Ed Richardson fan, or just a drummer in general looking to climb the ladder to success? What would your sort of golden ticket piece of advice be?
My goal, well, there's quite a few, but on the base level is turn up on time, have good gear, iron your shirt, and just make sure that you're answering your phone and answering all the texts, because you don't know where all these things come from. Because if I hadn't have answered that withheld number, I might not have been in Jules's band. So it's just take every opportunity, no matter how big or small, and because you never know what might come from that. Because that's how I climb the ladder, as it were. So
It's amazing. Ed, thank you so much for coming on the UK Drum Show official podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Congratulations again on the gig with Jules.
Did you hear my neighbour drilling? Couldn't have timed it even any more perfect. Perfect.
Tell your neighbour to shut up. We're doing something. But thank you so much. This is the most Spinal Tap one for you.
This is the moment, isn't it? Yeah.
Will live in your head forever. No, thank you, mate, for coming on. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to see your performance at the ACC Liverpool between the 18th and 19th of October. But until then, I'll see you in October, and I'll also, try and give you a beer so you can get me tickets to the Hootenanny. So,
yeah, I accept bribes. I accept bribes. Yeah.
Very good. All right, man. See you later. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Ollie.